Hey y'all. The story I have for you today has been difficult to put together. I'm gonna try. There is a lot of information on it, but also not a lot of information on it. You know what I mean? Like a lot of story, but not enough details about the events that transpire. Like, I need more details. You'll see as we go. It's a mess. But while I try to put this together, I'm also going to invent some dialogue because there's no information about specific conversations had by the people involved, and I'm going to make some up. Why not? I'm also going to be putting some names of people and places on the screen because I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce them. I can embarrass myself just fine without trying to pronounce them. So let's get into it. We're going to Spain. In 1971, in a Spanish town called Belmez, a woman named Maria walked into her kitchen and she found someone looking at her. This uninvited guest was a face that had formed in the tiles of her floor. Maria was known as a bit of a psychic medium in town, so she might not have been startled by it or even bothered by it, but her husband and son certainly were, because they went and got a pickaxe and broke up that area of the floor and tore it up and got rid of the face. Said, "There you go, no more face." Back to the kitchen for Maria. So a month later, something else happened, because if it didn't, we wouldn't be talking about this. Another face appeared on Maria's floor, and somehow word had spread about Maria's floor face friends, and people in the village started to stop by, and the mayor, why'd I say village? Town. See, this is part of the confusion. Some reports say village, some say town. I think there's a lot lost in translation. I don't know. But the mayor came by, mayor of town came by, and before Maria's husband and son could once again grab a pickaxe from the pickaxe room and destroy the floor, the mayor said, "Stop, let's not do that. What we're going to do is we're going to strategically cut around the face, and we're going to lift that part of the floor out, and we're going to put it behind glass, and we're going to put it over there on the wall." I guess this seemed like a good idea to everyone involved, because that is what they did. All right. And then around this time, the local police got involved, as well as some kind of other investigation service. There are multiple sources that say different things in different orders. I'm going to link all those below, so if you can make better sense of it than me, go for it. Anyhow, it was decided that Maria's whole kitchen floor would be excavated. I don't know, maybe they thought a water leak of some kind was causing faces to appear? Anyway, so they're digging under the kitchen floor, and they find skeletons. Human skeletons. Now, the fun thing about these human skeletons was that they did not have heads. Just headless human skeletons chilling under Maria's kitchen. One can dream. Who were these skeletons? One theory is that they were part of a 13th century graveyard, but I haven't found an answer of why they might have been missing their heads. Maybe someone who was spooky took the heads for home decoration? I can't imagine who would do that. But Who knows? Anyway, so the skeletons were taken away to be reburied or go to a museum or something. Accounts vary. Maria's floor was put back together, and there you go. Enjoy your remodeled kitchen with 100% less headless human skeletons. As you may have already guessed, the faces started showing up again. Different faces, and some people that witnessed the faces said they would change over time. Like one face would morph into having different features. Like if you can imagine a very primitive version of that old Michael Jackson video for Black or White, because that's what I think in my head. They're just merging, turning into other people. They would show up in pairs, they would show up in multiples. They were there to stay. Around this time, some group of investigators that were sent by a newspaper called Pueblo, they came to check out the house, and these, in some reports say tabloids, some say newspapers, so we don't know if it was like the local National Enquirer or if it was like the New York Times. But it was in the papers, and tourists started showing up to this House of the Faces, which is how it's still advertised today. We'll get to that. On February 25th, there was a article published in this newspaper, Pueblo, indicating that the mystery is solved. The investigators they had sent had taken samples of the coloration on the floor, and they had presumably found a chemical mix of silver chloride, silver, chlorine, and ultraviolet light. I don't know how they found ultraviolet light. Maybe it was revealed under ultraviolet light. Listen, lost in translation. If you can fluently read Spanish, I would love it if you read these reports in their original language and see if it's any clearer. I hope it is. But then other investigators did not find any traces of silver on the tiles. Regardless, the international press put out the reports that, hey, this is fake. We found paint-like chemicals or chemicals that changed the color of the floor to be used. So somebody faked this. We don't know how. We're not saying it's Maria. We're just saying this is fake. Okay? And at the same time, you know, while all this is going on, the government has decided that all the tourists and people visiting Maria's house were causing public turmoil. That's the term used. And they were getting annoyed about it, but it's unclear what the turmoil was. Did they not want tourist traffic? I don't understand. Because Maria's Kitchen had rapidly become a popular place for locals and tourists, and she did charge a small fee for people to come in and walk through her house and see these faces on the floor. Maybe this small fee Maria was collecting, she was not giving a cut to the local government, and maybe that's why they were annoyed by it, because it turns out that this article about the mystery is solved that was published in the paper was published in response to pressure from that local government, because they wanted to get rid of this public turmoil caused by the faces. I don't know. I don't really get it, because I live in a popular tourist city, which is like always in the top 10 of places to visit in the USA. And if there was any new thing drawing people in to spend their money on hotels, restaurants, whatever in the area, the last thing this place would want is to discourage people from coming here. So this attempt to get people less interested in the phenomena doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Which leads me back to my theory that Maria wasn't giving the locals, authorities, whoever was in charge, she wasn't giving them a cut of her entrance fees. I wasn't there. I don't know. But it sounds possible to me. Anywho, more scientific analysis was done by various agencies on the pigment that formed the faces. Some say they were made with a mixture of soot and vinegar, or were the result of some chemical compound, or may have just been painted on with ordinary paint, which would be a chemical. Everything's made of chemicals. This gets a little frustrating to look into. It's like, just clearly tell me what is happening. And one set of investigators claim that they found, through the use of infrared photography, they could see like paintbrush bristle marks that were used to paint the faces on. You would think you could see this with just a microscope, which they would have had really good microscopes even in the 70s, so I don't know why they went that far, but again, maybe it's lost in translation. I'm doing a lot of inserting my own theories and ideas into this, and instead of just reading the story plain, because that's just what I do. So the faces come and go throughout the years. Multiple investigation agencies and people come to check them out, to, mark off in the floor where all the different faces are, analyze ones, how they're different from the other ones. They interview Maria. They, just kind of take over her house. At the same time, people are still coming in to take a look-see, because wouldn't you? I totally would. Like, you can still go there, and I would still go there if I had the opportunity. It'd be great. I'd go see the faces of the lady down the street who's having a paranormal event and is cool with people coming in to check it out. I didn't find any indication that Maria got rich off this. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people in town were whispering about, oh, she's making it up, oh, she's just trying to get attention. I'm sure. So I'm sure she had positive interactions and affirmations, and also probably a lot of negative, like, there goes Maria again, how she's always trying to get people to check out her kitchen because she's got a new toaster, and now she's put faces on the floor and says they're paranormal. I don't know, but whatever. And this goes on, like I said, throughout the years and years, until Maria herself dies at age 85 in February of 2004. After her death, a psychic researcher by the name of Pedro Honoros claimed to discover more faces in the house that he proposed were caused photographically by the deceased Maria. Now, photography is a whole other thing, and it's generally, if I try to make it real simple, it's like somebody's thoughts can cause images to appear on something. I haven't before seen it proposed that a dead person's thoughts or their spirit would have caused more faces to appear. But that's what he's going with. His claims were debunked by the local media, of course, and in November 2004, the newspaper called El Mundo published an article titled "New Belmez Faces Faked by Ghostbusters and Municipal Government." Hold up. So the government didn't want public turmoil, but also had a hand in producing more floor faces? Okay, now this is 2004 versus the 70s, so maybe back then they were like, oh, there's too many people coming in. And then by the 2000s, they were like, it'd be nice to get some tourist money. Yeah, let's do some more spooky, ooky floor faces. Unclear. I should just title this video, Unclear. So it's a mess. Face is still there. You can still go see it. And I don't know exactly how Maria caused these faces to appear. how she put them on there. If she even did it, maybe it was a family member. I don't know. But, respect to her and the whole scheme, because a local woman in a small town most people have never heard of, long before social media or even internet, caused a viral sensation without ever leaving her home. She said, "Everybody come here and check this out." And they did. Nearly 20 years after her death, we're still talking about that little house in Belmez. And like I said, you can still go there. And if I do get to go there someday, I will buy some local wine. That's a thing in Spain, right? Wine? I've never been to Spain. Sure, let's go with wine. I'll buy some local wine and I will pour it in a glass and I will go over to that little house and toast to Maria and say, "Good one, spooky señorita. Good one. This is empty. I will take this glass with me because I think that's what my great-grandmother would have wanted me to use her crystal for, right? I'll take a couple in case one gets broken. But yep, that's the Faces of Belmez. What do you think? Have you heard of this before? Have you ever had faces appear on your kitchen floor? What would you do if they did? Would you just wash them off? Or would you be like, "Hey everybody, come check out my floor faces"? Maybe. I'm surprised nothing like this happened during the pandemic, the ongoing pandemic, but when stuff was on lockdown and a lot of people were staying home, and not me, I work retail, so I did not get to stay home, but a lot of people were stuck in their homes and, they were bored and lonely and trying to be safe and staying away from anybody who didn't live in their house. And, they were probably like, "I think I'm going a little crazy. It sure would be great if there were some faces on my floor," because faces drawn on the floor, they can't transmit COVID to you. They're perfectly safe. So, you know what? You know what this makes me realize? If I was a person who worked in an office and was stuck working from home, or not stuck because it'd be great to work from home, stuck working from home and, had to work online, I mean, the sucky part would be you're stuck there. You can't really safely go out of your house to go out, have fun, whatever. I mean, you might be able to, but if you're immunocompromised, I probably would go a little kookier, and I might invent some friends. Could you imagine? Okay, now I'm going on a tangent. Can you imagine if your friend was that happened to them and they had to stay at the house and, they had fragile health, so they had to work from home and not really go out, have all their groceries delivered, everything. They couldn't leave the house. And so after, they got their vaccinations and everything, and they were like, "You know what? You need to come over and visit. I haven't seen you in a year, 2 years. Come over, we'll wear our mask, it'll be great, we'll have a good time." So you go over there and they're like, "Hey, come in my kitchen. I want to show you something." And you go in there and they have drawn. What would be the funniest thing for them to have drawn? It in crayons. They've drawn some crayons, drawn some faces. And they're like, "Look at my friends. Look at them. Say hi." Would you still be friends with them? That's what I need to know. I need to know if you would still be friends with that person. That's all the rambling I have to do now. I have to go to work. Yay. So see y'all later.